This is Diana Sullivan in Austin, Texas. Today we're going to do a meandering drop stitch that uses the ribber. This is a really easy, interesting one, and you can make really big pieces quickly with this one. To start with, we want to cast on the main bed, but any main bed cast on that you like will work. Now you need to be set for half pitch, which means the gate pegs, instead of matching like this, will be in between like that. And then after 2 needles, 1 and 2, here on the main bed, you're going to pick up the first ribber needle, then skip 2 needles on the ribber and pick up the next and the next on across for this sample. And that is going to be the needle arrangement. Let me just even those up. Then, to make it really easy to pick up the heel of the stitch and put it on these, I'm just going to shift over to the left by 1 click with my racking handle. That puts me in full pitch, so I have to move it back or I'll get needle collisions. And I'm just quickly picking up the heel of the stitch and popping it right onto these ribber needles. This goes fast, very easy. And do this all across. It works out that after I click back to the right, I have 2 main bed needles, then 1 ribber, then 3 main bed needles, then 1 ribber, and so forth on across. Now this is another industrial rib. I've been talking about them a lot this year. It's another situation where it's only a half step from the main bed to the ribber. And industrial ribs look great and they're stretchy. Now I'm going to just go ahead and knit 4 rows. And now it's doing a 3x1 ribbing. Now to do the decorative design, I'm going to put up 2 needles between the first 2 ribber needles, then skip these 2 needles and put up these 2, skip these 2, put up these 2, skip these 2 and put up these 2. Now I'm going to knit 4 rows. Now what I do helps me keep my place. To make it easy for me to keep my place on the job, I push up these 2 extra needles between the first 2 ribber needles all the way to hold position. There were 4 of those. Then I take my straight needle pusher and I pick up the other ones along the bottom. Now I know which ones to push out of work. It's these ones out and hold. Push them all the way down and it deliberately drops the stitches off of them. If you give it a tug down, those guys will unravel. Now I'm going to knit 4 rows. This time there are only 3 groups of 2 to push up. 1, 2, 3. Then take the needle pusher and bring up these other ones that are in between the ribber needles in work. Then push down these extras and knit 4 rows. Here we go again, pushing up the ones that we're going to drop later, picking up the other needles and dropping these. I thought about other ways to keep track, but this seems to work about the best for me. Now, when you think your piece is long enough, drop those extras, but don't put the other ones in. Then you're just going to knit 2 rows. Do a loose row. I'm turning my tension way up, knitting 1 loose row. Then I turn it down again. to sort of a normal tension for this yarn. I unthread the yarn and I thread the ribber carriage with a contrasting waste yarn. I brought the yarn between the beds and I'm going to knit several rows of waste yarn. Then I'm just going to cut the yarn, drop the knitting and catch it with my hand. Next I'll show you how to cast off. I removed all the hardware and the knitting is in my lap. I'm just going to uncurl the end and find the first stitch. I'm putting my latch tool in that stitch and now it's simple. I'm just going to pull the second stitch through the first stitch and then this ribbed stitch through that stitch, and then I count 1, 2, 3, those were my knit stitches. Then I pull a rib stitch through, then 1, I don't want to miss a stitch, 2, 3 of the knit stitches, purl the rib stitch through, that would be my purl stitch, then 1, 2, 3 knit stitches come through, then that purl stitch, then 1, 2, 3, purl stitch, 1, 2, 3, purl stitch, 1, unroll this, 2, 3, and the purl stitch, 1, 2, 3, the purl stitch, and then at the end there were only 2 stitches. Then I pull the tail through that end. That's a quick loop through a loop bind off. Now I only have to remove the waste yarn. Comes off pretty fast and easy. Let's look at what we have. Here we have the stockinette edge, and then here we have our rather interesting drop lace with a fairly firm 2-stitch wide far edge on it. It looks like this on the front. On the back it looks like that. So use whichever side you like for your project.